Just for the record, identify yourself, even though everybody already knows you.
Well, I think I'm that character guy they were just referring to make sure I don't have any convictions or felonies. I'm Tim Leiweke. I'm the president and CEO of AEG.
And who are you with?
I'm with AEG. But
no, that guy over there.
Ted Fickray, Chief Legal and Development Officer for AEG.
So, Mr. Leiweke, you've had a chance to hear what our CLA and our CAO have said with respect to the sale of AEG. And from your perspective, what does it mean for Farmers Field?
Well, first, let me apologize for the disturbance and the disruption of the process. That's my fault. I'll take full blame for that. By no means were we trying to ultimately do anything that would take away from what is our commitment and your commitment, which is bringing the NFL back to LA, and in particular, getting Farmers Field and the Convention Center built. Second of all, what we have told people is we would prefer this come out before you vote than after you vote, no matter what kind of disturbance we may have created by the announcement occurring when it did. Far better to get it out there in advance of your vote so you know this is a process that Mr. Anschutz is currently going through. As to the sale process itself, as you all know, we have a land lease as part of this Farmers Field agreement for the land that we are leasing from the city for 55 years. Mr. Anschutz would be 128 years old by the end of that land lease. We were going to go through a sale inevitably. This is not a family trust or a family foundation that owns this asset. It's an ongoing concern in the Anschutz Corporation. We were always going to have an exit strategy. Our opinion on the management team is that this is a process that was far better served today so that we have long-term predictability, not just for the city, but for the NFL when we make this project a reality. Walking into a potential partner owner of a team and walking into the NFL commissioner and the other 31 owners and having the ability of an owner that is going to see this as a long-term marathon and a long-term commitment was far better than thinking that Mr. Anschutz at some point or another in the near future would be seeking an exit strategy. The management team at AEG that you've been dealing with for 20 years is intact. The management team that is now before you for the fourth development agreement between our company and this city is the same. And this is a management team that has all now extended their commitments to run AEG day to day for the next 5 years. So I understand it's a disturbance, but the reality is, one, better to come now than after the vote so that you don't feel like we didn't disclose information. And secondly, I can tell you in our conversations with the NFL and the owners that we're talking to, it is far better now that we walk in the door with an owner that is the new owner committed to a long-term commitment to the city, to the NFL, and to Farmers Field. This is an advantageous step forward for this process.
So I have a question or comment for anybody who might be listing as a successor in interest. What assurances, I know you have contracts that are signed to extend 5 years for your top management team. What assurances do you have that someone won't come in and just say, look, we're going to pay you your contract now, sit down and, be quiet?
The most important assurance of all, which is Mr. Anschutz, and he feels strongly, as I do, that we've made a commitment on Farmers Field. It's an important vision, as to, and maybe even more importantly, the fixing the convention center. And Mr. Anschutz has made it clear he is only interested in selling this asset if we can find the right buyers that are equally committed to the vision of what we want to do by expanding LA Live with Farmers Field and the Convention Center. And he's committed to making sure we find the right owners, and I'm committed to making sure that the new partners that come in are capable, willing, and most importantly, passionate about the vision that we're creating for Farmers Field, for the Convention Center, and for the return of the NFL to LA.
So tell us all about the process to complete approvals and to acquire a team from the NFL, and please include a few bits of information about the timing of that.
Once we're done here, and it's critical that we demonstrate once and for all to the NFL and to the 32 owners that LA, the city, LA, the citizens, LA, the legal process, and AEG, the company, can get this deal done. And I believe that this week we're going to take a very important, the most important step forward since we lost the NFL almost 20 years ago to bring them back. We'll demonstrate that we are lockstep with you on a vision to bring the NFL back here. Secondly, it is not lost on them, and I'm sure not lost on Miguel and Jerry. We have just entered into the most aggressive deal in the history of the NFL to build a stadium. We are going to pick up 100% of the cost of the stadium, 100% of the risk of operation of the stadium, and there are no public subsidies coming back to us as part of this process. In addition, we are going to stand behind the improvements that will make LA one of the top 10 convention point of destinations in the industry again by fixing our convention center once and for all. That kind of momentum means that we can now go with certainty to the NFL and to the teams that we believe are not going to get a stadium built in their local community and begin a constructive conversation on how we get them to LA. We are prepared, and new ownership will be prepared to take a piece of the team if necessary. And AEG, the corporation, has the wherewithal today to go build Farmers Field and satisfy every commitment that has been asked out of us from the city as to the financing and as to the ability to build this project and get it done. What we need now is we need to go find a team, and we will take the biggest step forward and create the most amount of momentum if we have the ability of going lockstep with the city now and saying we are done with the environmental process, we're done with the legal process, we're done with the community process. We now are committed to building the stadium and getting a team, and we're prepared with the new owners to take a piece of a team if necessary in order to get them here.
Okay, now, there continues to be discussions around this other proposal in the other city of industry. What is the status of that project, and does this situation here cause any disruption from the perspective of the NFL?
I'm not. Certainly, I have not been elected to speak on their behalf,
yes,
and they'll tell you that if you don't believe it.
Yeah, no, I do believe it.
I believe there are all kinds of issues they have, including hundreds of millions of dollars of subsidies in that project for an interchange on the freeway. I'm not sure that funding is in place with the demise of a redevelopment fund. In addition to that, let's talk about the uniqueness of downtown LA. As much as people will question whether or not the stadium is being built in the right place, in reality, it's the perfect place. There are many days we do 100,000 people at LA Live. We can handle the traffic and we can handle the parking by making sure we schedule properly. There's no corporation that has built more private stadiums and arenas in the world than AEG. There is no place in the NFL today where you have a 100-acre campus with a convention center, Farmers Field, Staples Center, Nokia Theater, and Gilbert Lindsay Plaza with the ability of hosting Super Bowls, Final Fours, and qualification games for the World Cup. It is a unique point of destination. Add to that the hotels that I believe will come because of this project, and we can look the NFL in the eye and now say to them, there's not only a better fan experience, and there's no better fan experience anywhere in the NFL for the 8 games a year. But for Super Bowls, we finally have a point of destination where the majority of people will have a chance to either walk, take light rail, or experience the campus without necessarily having to get into their cars. So we find that the view and the vision that we've created here make this one of the most unique points of destinations, not just in the NFL, but for special events. We don't really look at the city of industry and get too worried. This has always been making the right deal with this city, guaranteeing the taxpayers they won't be at risk, and then turning to the NFL and making them understand the track record of AEG is not that we'll just get it built. More importantly, we will operate with great success for a long period of time. If you look at the success we've had with our teams in our building, including the Kings and the Stanley Cup, I got to get that in there, you will see that we have the ability to go to the NFL and guarantee them 20 years plus of a commitment to make this one of the most valuable one of the most exciting and one of the most respected franchises in all of the league. There is no organization that has that kind of wherewithal and experience like we do. And by the way, that management team is not going anyplace. We're committed to this long term. We're going to cut that ribbon in 2017.
Yeah, what I would consider to be a robust community benefits package. Can you talk a little bit about that package and then your plans for reaching out to Pico Union and the surrounding areas of South Los Angeles? And I think included in this package are funds for job training and how those funds would be allocated and what organizations. I think you have a number of community partners.
Yes, so let me start with, I feel awkward doing this, but I will tell you that the CLA and the CAO have done a pretty good job here. For example, when we started with a convention center, and now where we have ended with a convention center, they've gotten another $80 million out of us for the improvement of that center to make it world class. That cost us millions of dollars a year of additional revenue that we have to generate in order to backstop that expenditure. So they've done a admirable job of not only making this the best deal ever cut by a city for an NFL team, but to the best of my knowledge, it's the first time a private sector has ever stepped in and backstopped the expansion of the convention center. And let me make this very clear because I know there's much speculation. If you choose in the future to go to private management, we have to bid on that. We have absolutely no commitments from anyone, and we're going to have to put forth the best proposal to win that bid. We may end up funding a convention center that may be privately managed, and we don't even manage it. We're aware of that risk. As to the community, we have gone aggressively over the last 2 years and had over 200 meetings with the community, trying to understand what it is that's important to them. This will be the most green, environmentally built stadium in the history of the NFL. We're committed to that. We are committed to creating jobs, labor union jobs, not just for the construction of Farmers Field, but for the convention center. We're working with millions, tens of millions of dollars worth of improvement to the transportation system, including a major renovation of the Pico Light Rail Station, which will be next to Farmers Field. We're working with additional mitigation measures that will minimize the impact of transportation during those 8 football games, hopefully 7 Sunday afternoons and 1 weeknight. More important to me is, as a community, we used to be so proud of the cranes that we had, and we've lost that.